I was studying information systems and database design. And one of the professors during my school said, and this was 1995, said, we were using some software platforms and tools to learn. And he said, you know, soon in the future, none of this software will be on your PCs, because none of us had laptops either. We were just using PCs. All of it will be in the network. And we were all in New York. We're like, yeah, get out of here. You know, that'll never happen. And now it's happened. So now the cloud, software as a service, and all of these things have become a reality. So I think that's an interesting perspective. And I want to give you another perspective on using a company as an example to talk about customer centricity and maybe a little bit of the challenges and also disruption as a kind of topic. So disruption and transformation. So this company is a transportation and logistics company. And they are global, upended their industry, changed the way it worked, changed the way it marketed, and was phenomenal in doing things to reinvent their industry. They, however, are not based in Silicon Valley. They don't have an app. And they don't exist anymore, they were over 400 years old. And the company I'm talking about is the Dutch East India Company that was founded in 1602. At the height of their power, they were worth $7.9 trillion. And I think a month or two ago, a lot was made about, you know, some of the FANG companies, Facebook, Apple, and so on, becoming $1 trillion. So this was a massive company in its day. The interesting thing, you know, there's lots published about this company, lots of letters from the leaders who were spread all over the world. And what they complained about in these letters was, you know, you people at HQ don't know anything about what we're doing in the field. You know, we work in silos. They didn't use that word, but they alluded to the fact we work in silos, we're totally ineffective, and we can't deliver for our customers. We can't do what our customers want. And I think it's interesting to put that into perspective to today, because we're going to talk about Industrial Revolution. I think Frederick had one rule for the audience, but he had one rule for us. Everybody has to have an fourth Industrial Revolution slide, so I have one coming up as well. But I think it's very interesting that 400 years ago, one of the main things that impeded companies from being completely customer-centric is something that we still struggle with today. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. And interesting, one of their major disruptions, I don't know if many people know this, but in order to fund themselves, they essentially established, they were the first company to sell shares to private people and other companies to fund themselves, essentially forming what we now use as modern capital markets and stock markets. So we can all say that Uber and Airbnb are innovative, but I think this was significantly more innovative. I also want to, okay. One of the reasons I think they say Mr. Nordics is a Salesforce, I've been at Salesforce for 14 years, always based here in Stockholm and always taking care of the Nordics. Interestingly, I think back then we already had a partnership or a budding partnership with Tacton. So for all the years that I've been here, I can always remember Tacton attending our customer events, us attending TactonDays. So I want to thank Tacton, number one, for having me here and allowing me to take this time to present to you. And also thank you for coming and listening to us and supporting Tacton, because they have always been and continue to be a great partner for us. So here's my mandatory fourth industrial revolution slide. I'm not going to, and the Dutch East India Company was somewhere over here. And I'm not going to talk much about it because, as Frederick said and as Kenneth said, I think we've all heard a lot about it. But when we at Salesforce talk about the fourth industrial revolution, and we talk about AI, robotics, the Internet of Things, digitalization, transformation, and all of that, we put it in our view is the view of the customer context. So kind of like the last slides that Kenneth was showing. And I think it's super interesting and super relevant that we back-end each other when we present, because we both represent different parts of the value chain, but also the importance, and he talked about ecosystems and I will as well, of connecting those value chains, and perhaps even more so in the fourth industrial age. And the reason we say this is because one of the main disruptions that we see, or main opportunities that we see in the fourth industrial revolution, is that the idea of connectivity, big data, and the Internet of Things has allowed customers, whether they're B2B or B2C customers, to be incredibly more connected than they ever were. And that's created a lot of opportunity, a lot of threat, and it's increased, the big thing that we see is it's increased their expectations. And that increase in expectations has meant that the way we as companies deal with them needs to radically transform. So as we are juggling new technology, threats from competitors who are perhaps using new technology better than we are, and we're looking at opportunities that we can take advantage of because of this new technology and shifts in the industry, at the same time we have to deal with a transformation of our customer, because the customer is becoming way more savvy, way more intelligent, and way more knowledgeable about us than ever before. And what we see is that's creating what we refer to as, in many cases, a customer crisis. Now, the Dutch East India Company struggled with silos, right? Their organizations were silos. And what we see is also, if you combine, and all of you live with this, whether it's small companies or big companies, if the organization is siloed and the processes are siloed, and data and systems are also siloed, it's going to be very difficult to do the digital twin factory example for Elisa. So Elisa is a customer of ours as well, and I had no idea they were doing this digital twin and digital factory process. Imagine if those two things, what they're using with Salesforce and this process, could be connected. Imagine what it would do for customer experience. Also imagine what it might lead to if they're not connected, and if the customer is expecting that type of connectivity. And it creates what we refer to as this crisis. And what we found is that in a B2B context, the expectations are so high now. A lot of us, I work in B2B as well, a lot of us have been trained by applications like Facebook, Amazon, Google, OurPact, what have you. These consumer applications are training us to have higher expectations. So we did a survey of business-to-business buyers globally. 80% of them expect real-time or near business-to-consumer-like interaction with their B2B vendors. So that's their expectation. The World Economic Forum did a study on this in the fourth industrial revolution and found that 59% of companies lack the capabilities to be able to do this. So while they all want to get there, they're struggling. And from our perspective, when we look at it as, what are the customers and employees and partners expecting? Because all of you work with ecosystems, and all of your employees, so the customer is super important, they have expectations, but your employees and partners who drive customer centricity also have expectations and also have needs. And if we can't bring all of this data together and present it in an intelligent way to these three stakeholder groups, we don't meet these expectations. Oops. So when we think about customer centricity at Salesforce, we think about it in dozens of different ways. And I thought 3 would be interesting to cover today. The first is learning. And I'm going to tell you about what I mean by that. So learning to deal with this environment and silos. The second, that's been covered by Kenneth, but will also be covered by me, is platforms. So if we have this complex environment of systems, what kind of platforms, and not one, but what kind of platforms can we put in place to take advantage of it? And finally, again, repeating the context of ecosystems. This is becoming more important every day, both to you and to us as software vendors. So I'll start with learning. So how are we, the people in this room, how are we handling the shift to the fourth industrial revolution? So at Salesforce, we did a study, because one of the biggest risks that we face is that our technology doesn't get adopted and our technology doesn't get used. And in the beginning, we had only one product, which was a sales product. So we didn't struggle so much with the implications of silos in the fourth industrial revolution, that organizational impact in the beginning. But now I'll show you our product portfolio a little bit later. It's extremely broad. And what we see is that we cannot help our customers connect to their customers in completely different ways. That's our mission, to help our customers connect to their customers in completely different ways. We can't do it if we can't drive these kinds of changes. And so what we started looking at was, how are today's leaders adapting to digitalization and transformation? And we did a study together with The Economist magazine. And what the study found was that 73% of leaders feel that now, more than ever before, their role is merging into other departments. And we see the example of it between our two presentations. People on the sales side and people on the product side putting together a new solution to connect together and drive over different departments, and they have to do that. 33% of these people feel that now more than ever before, they need to not own a project and drive it, but more than ever before, they need to share ownership of a project and drive it. So there's an increase in the demand to drive fourth industrial revolution processes and customer centricity processes and drive digitalization. They all feel a demand. They all feel that they need to collaborate across silos in order to do it, but only 1 in 10 feel that their organization has restructured to help them do that. So now the drive or the need to get the way to get this done is falling on the individuals or the groups of individuals at companies. And we see this as both a risk and an opportunity for us to engage so that we can help leaders drive this kind of customer centricity using digitalization. And we've actually transformed our entire focus and entire company around this. So of course, we're still a software company, but we're now a company that's trying to create what we refer to as Trailblazers. So Trailblazers are individuals that are sitting in the center of this push towards customer centricity, and they're facing the challenges that I showed to you on the previous slide. And these people are innovative, so they're in the company, they're trying to come up with new ideas to drive innovation, to be more customer-centric. They now realize that they need to use technology, so they're technology disruptors. This same study found that 59% of non-technical executives answered that they feel a huge need to become more technical. Not that they're going to code and do the hour of code and start writing, whatever, but they feel they need to have a deeper understanding of technology in order to drive the customer centricities that they want to do to disrupt the way their organization is working. And finally, they need to reshape their organizations. They need that the sales organization and those designing the digital twin factory start working together because they're currently not doing it and they're currently not organized that way. So our focus now is not only providing a technical platform, but it's enabling these people to use it in a proper way in order to drive their digitalization and transformation projects so they can be more customer-centric. And what we realized was this is Salesforce's platform. So the second thing, learning and platform, we don't see them as two separate things. Same with the ecosystem. We see them all as combined. So one of the main focuses we made was how can we embed this learning as a part of our platform? How can we say, okay, I need to help people transform. I want to do it by putting it inside the platform. So one of the things that we've done over the last 2 years is implement a project that we call Trailhead. And Trailhead, many people might look at it and say it's a traditional e-learning platform. So it's a platform where people go to learn about Salesforce products. And it's true. They go there, they can look at our sales product, our service product, they can take classes, they can earn badges, they can load up their skills, and they can build knowledge about our products. But we've also made it a transformation or digitalization learning platform where I can go as a business leader. I don't have to be interested in Salesforce at all. I can go as a business leader and take courses by Peter Drucker. If anyone know Peter Drucker, a famous management consultant? I can take courses that he's designed for our learning platform to cope with organizational change. How do I work across silos? How do I give feedback in a better way? Because now I'm working with people who aren't really in my team. So a big focus for us now is whatever we do technologically, we make sure we embed it in this learning platform so we can help people drive these changes that need to happen. And that, we think, is the essence of customer centricity for us. If we don't enable people to drive change and use our technology to drive change, our products and our solutions won't be successful. So it's become, we now partially see ourselves as a learning company rather than just a technology company. But the platform itself is extremely important in terms of driving technology. And Kenneth and I were talking briefly about it before the meeting. Like, everybody has a platform. Tacton has a platform, Salesforce has a platform, Microsoft has a platform, PTC has a platform. All of us are platform enabled. At Salesforce, as I mentioned before, our platform is designed to help our customers connect to their customers in completely new and innovative ways. So to sell to them, to market to them, and service them in ways that allow them to innovate and be disruptive. And it's a pretty broad platform. It starts with a connected sales and distribution channel, an intelligent service and field service platform, a B2B and B2C marketing platform, a B2B and B2C commerce platform, and all around. And one of the other things that we're focusing on in terms of silos is integration. So our customer mission is to help customers connect to their customers in completely different ways, to help our customers be more customer-centric. And the way we design our platform is we have two simple rules. Number one, every icon that you see around this circle, we call it the clock, should be leading in its industry. It should be number one. So that whereas you're buying a platform in the past, a lot of companies needed to make sacrifices when they bought a platform. They bought a platform because the ERP part of it was super strong, right? And they wanted the customer engagement part, but that wasn't so strong. But they said, we have a platform thinking, so we'll make a sacrifice on CRM because we need the ERP. And our mission is to make that choice not relevant anymore. That when you choose a platform from Salesforce, all of the solutions that you have are leading in their industry, so you're getting best of breed while you're still getting a full platform. And the second part, in terms of being customer-centric, as we looked at that first slide, the customer crisis slide, that doesn't matter if all of these individual products are leading in their industry if they're not connected. Because we would just be creating more and more data silos and process silos by giving you a bunch of disconnected products. So the second part of our product mission is to make sure that all of these leading products are completely integrated. And as a company, we've made two huge investments over the last 12 months to make this happen. Number one, we invested in an integration platform called MuleSoft. MuleSoft was an independent integration platform. We've now brought it into our platform to make sure that not only are all our products integrated, they're all on the same platform anyway, but that we can integrate with, I love that slide that Kenneth showed at the end that came from Aachen University. I think it was the digital network, and it showed a typical landscape of a large company. Without the ability to integrate with that landscape, we won't be able to create these fourth industrial customer-centric processes because we need to be end-to-end. And Salesforce will never provide a product lifecycle management tool, so we need to play in that area extremely well. And we'll get to that when we talk about ecosystems. The second thing we're doing is focusing on something called Customer 360. It sounds obvious and it sounds simple, but to make sure that all of our products share one customer identity so that we truly put the customer at the center of our technical platform. So that whenever someone from sales or marketing comes in and looks at you as an individual business-to-business customer or someone else, we have one single identity, so all of these applications, whether they're on our platform or integrating with our platform, get that one single view. And that's what really drives customer centricity, because many of us have all been in situations where we feel the company we're speaking to has no idea who we are or no idea what we've done previously. I think from a Salesforce perspective, the manufacturing industry or the manufacturing vertical is one of our largest. Financial services is largest simply because of the number of employees that are customer facing, but manufacturing is one of our largest. And I'll show a slide to you of the companies that we work with. And we're seeing now two interesting trends that affect us in terms of customer centricity that we're really jumping on. The first is that traditional manufacturing companies are now moving more in the direction of one-to-one and journey-based marketing. So previously, in the past, the marketing organizations and typical manufacturing companies were very product-centric and very content-centric. Here's our product, here's a brochure that describes it, and here is the technical documentation that helps you fix it or helps you understand it. What we see now is that companies are going from that product-centric push marketing with manual processes and marketing a little bit disconnected from sales to a more business-to-consumer, a more agile type of marketing. And the reason is that customers are a lot more demanding now, and you're probably experiencing it yourself. And one of the trends that we see that we think is the most interesting is manufacturing companies are going more towards one-to-one journey management. One-to-one customer journey management from the beginning to the end of the cycle and all the way through service. So treating the customer relationship the way Fitbit or Airbnb treats you. by walking you through a journey, mapping that journey, keeping you up to date constantly, and doing it in a kind of business-to-consumer way. And that's one of the biggest trends we see, and one of the things that is transforming marketing organizations in the manufacturing industry. Two of the companies in the Nordics that we work with very closely and in developing this or helping them get more in this direction are Kone in Finland, the elevator company, and Wärtsilä, who will be here speaking tomorrow, who are traditional companies, both over 100 years old, and realize that now we want to take a more one-to-one, journey-based marketing approach with our customers. The second trend we see is not really anything new, but we see a big shift in B2B commerce, so digital commerce over the web. We're seeing there have been business-to-business and manufacturing companies have done commerce electronically for years or decades now. But what we see changing is that the systems and processes that they were using previously are a little bit old and a little bit rigid. So what we see is a shift now going from these typically on-premise-based solutions to more cloud-based solutions. And there's all the typical arguments about cloud, you don't have to manage the technology infrastructure, but also the cloud technologies provide a lot more agility and provide the manufacturing companies with the ability to provide digital commerce in a more agile way, add more products, remove more products, combine it with content, combine it with marketing. So we see a huge shift in that. And in fact, we recently acquired a company called Cloud Craze that we've now rebranded to our B2B Commerce solution, which is a complete B2B commerce platform embedded in our platform. So we get this 360-degree view. I can sell to my customers still in the field. I can still do customer service with them, but now I can also embed that as a digital commerce environment. And all of it based on the same platform with the same customer in the center. And finally, the third area that I talked about was learning, platform, and ecosystem. And Kenneth talked about ecosystems as well in a lot better way than I will be able to. But we also see that for our customers, getting access, working with their ecosystems, working with their partners and their distribution channels is super important, but also making sure that we, as one of their providers, are able to interact with different companies' ecosystems, right? And also to have our own. So at Salesforce, we've for a long time been focused on something we call our App Exchange ecosystem, which is an environment where companies enhance or integrate with our platform to provide value that we can't. Tacton is a perfect example of it. So Salesforce has a CPQ tool, but it's nowhere near as powerful as what Tacton provides, and it's not capable of providing the kind of complex configuration, product configuration quoting, and pricing mechanisms that Tacton can. And we will never have the competence internally or the skill to be able to do it. It's the same with PLM, it's the same with HR, it's the same with ERP. So we need to provide an open API and an ecosystem to do two things. Number one, allow companies to build or integrate with our platform and go to market together as we do with Tacton. Or secondly, make sure that our ecosystem can integrate with other ecosystems so that with PTC and the digital twin type of applications, we can also easily fit into that marketplace or that ecosystem so that we can create these end-to-end solutions. I mentioned it briefly before, but Salesforce we've been a company for about 20 years. We've been working with manufacturing companies for almost all of those years. I started at Salesforce 14 years ago. The first companies that became our customers were actually in Finland, Kone, Wärtsilä, Metso, and others, Rukki. They were kind of leading the charge with us, and we consider our industry team, they're members of our industry team here today. Our manufacturing industry team considers some of the companies that work with Salesforce in the Nordics to be amongst the most innovative in how they leverage our platform, how they're driving digitalization, and how they're actually leveraging our ecosystem as well to drive these fourth industrial revolution and customer-centric processes. And we work across all areas of manufacturing from discrete to process to automotive. And would love to talk to you more about the customers we have. So thank you very much. I think I have 5 minutes to spare.
Thank you very much. I have some technical problems. Oh well, I'll just put it here, and I have to stand right here. I'll hold it.
Yeah.
Thank you. At the end, you talked a little bit about the ecosystem, or you mentioned it throughout the presentation. What does that mean to the people that are here and to the companies that are with us today?
Sure. So it means two things depending on how you look at it. There are companies in this room that are probably using parts or one part or multiple parts of the Salesforce platform, and everyone in here is using Tacton. So what that means is, because of that usage, you have access now to our ecosystem, both an understanding of all of the companies that are in it, not only CPQ companies, but we said HR, pricing, and so on. And they are, companies, software companies have had technical ecosystems and companies that build on their platform forever. This isn't anything new. What the cloud has done is made the integration and the distribution of those elements that you add to the ecosystem much easier. So if you go to our ecosystem platform, which is called the App Exchange, and you look for a partner or a component that you want to reuse, you simply look at it, you click install as you would in the Apple Store or the Google Store, and that application's metadata is automatically downloaded into your instance of Salesforce, which means that you can bring in these components much more quickly and easily and drive this kind of change much more quickly, easily, and cost effectively.
Okay. Well, thank you. I wish we had more time, but unfortunately we don't. But you will be here throughout the break.
Yep.
Great.
And lunch, yeah.
And lunch as well. So if you would like to speak to Baman, please do. And also visit Salesforce outside this room, also with in the partner pavilion. And also there's a breakout session this afternoon if you like to know more.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.